Hey guys, YouTuber 100 here. Alright, now here I am to finish off reviewing the Men in Black trilogy with the review for Men in Black 3. So, yeah, when I heard about this movie being released, of course, it was 10 years after the second film that this movie was released. So, yeah, I really was kind of a skeptical about it. Um, I was still did want to see this film, of course, since it was Men in Black. Despite the fact that I really was not a big fan of the second film, I really did like the first one, and since I did see this second one, I still did actually want to see the third one still, just to see what they would do. But at the same time, considering since the second film wasn't all that good, and how this was coming out 10 years after the second film, I really just was kind of thinking if I really just wasn't sure what they were going to do with this, and if it was really going to even turn out that well coming this long after the second film. So yeah, so I was kind of skeptical about how this film would turn out prior to actually going to see it. But then, yeah, I did go see this film when it was released in the theater, and I've got to say, this was definitely a much better sequel than the second film was. Yeah, I actually did think that this was a pretty good movie. Yeah, I mean, this was just a really huge step up in the second film. I mean, yeah, this film, it did, it did kind of, in a way, do a similar type of story that the second film, did in a sense, but yeah, they told it in a much better way and did make it more interesting. And yeah, again, yeah, I really did like the film. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it just definitely was just much better paced than the second film was, and like I said, and it just really did tell this type of story, right, in a much more interesting way than the second film did. And yeah, they really did do a pretty good job with this. I mean, I would, of course, I really wouldn't really say this film was as good as the first one, but yeah, definitely a huge redeemer from the second film. So yeah, really did enjoy this film, and yeah, I actually really haven't actually gone back to watch this film since seeing it in the theaters until I actually did just watch the film to make this review. So yeah, I don't really know why I haven't really watched this film since seeing it in the theater. You know, I mean, yeah, I have watched the first one, of course, many times, but yeah, probably since I probably just really wouldn't say this was as good as the first film. I would definitely say, well, yeah, I would say that I would definitely rather watch the first film than this one. So yeah, and I have seen the first one still many times, and yeah, and I really haven't watched the second one all that much, and yeah, I really just yeah, I really haven't gone back to really watch this film since it either. But yeah, not to say it's bad. Like I said, it is actually a pretty good movie. Yeah, and once again, just about everybody involved from the first two films did return. You still did have Barry Sonnenfeld back as the director. You did have Danny Elfman providing the music, and yeah, you also did have Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones reprising their roles as J and K in this film. Yeah, though, yeah, interestingly, in this film, Will Smith is actually listed above Tommy Lee Jones in the cast. So yeah, it's really Will Smith really is the actual main character of the film. Yeah, Jay is really has a much bigger role in this film than Kay does. Well, sort of. A Will Smith does have a much bigger role in this film than Tommy Lee Jones does, because I'm sure if you've seen this film, you know what the premise is. It's how apparently just in the second film, there's another previous foe from Kay's past that returns, and he ends up going back in time to rewrite history and kill Kay in the past. And so yeah, and then in the present day, in the present time, Kay does not exist because of history being rewritten, and so then Jay has to actually go back into the past to correct that and make sure that uh, that things do turn out the way they originally did. And so yeah, and so in this film, like Jay like goes back into the past and he actually does like work with the younger Kay. So yeah, yeah. So really, like in this film, like it's really more like with Jay working with the younger version of Kay, who's played by Josh Brolin in this film. So yeah, really, Tommy Lee Jones, like he is still like a main character in the film, of course. Well, yeah, he does like have a big role in the film as Kay, but yeah, yeah, more of the film, like it's really more like with the younger Kay, played by Josh Brolin. So yeah, we really like see much more of like Jay with the younger Kay in this film than we do with like the present Kay. Yeah, and but really like Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones really are the only two cast members from the original two films that do reprise their role. Yeah, in this film, like a Rip Torn doesn't he didn't like return as Zed for the film. Yeah, unlike the start of this film, it's like said that Zed has like recently died. So yeah, but of course like Rip Torn, he's like actually still alive. I'm not sure why he like decided not to come back. Maybe it was just because like he was like getting just felt he was getting too old and just didn't want to come back. And yeah, and I've even looked at Rip Torn's filmography, and yeah, he's really only done like a couple of films since this one. So yeah, probably this was like kind of like when Rip Torn probably like decided to really just retire from acting and really not like have like a real big career anymore. Or so yeah, that could be the reason why Rip Torn didn't return for the film. Yeah. Yeah, so in this film, the Chief of Men in Black is now Agent O, who is like another person that Kay knew from has known for a long time, and she's played by Emma Thompson in this film. And yeah, she's also like in the past with the younger Kay, and the younger version of her is played by Alice Eve. Yeah, and in this film we also do have some other new cast members as well, like Jermaine Clement as the main antagonist of this film, Boris, who is a Kay's foe from the past. Yes, there's Michael Stolbarg, there's Mike Coulter, there Nicole Scher, Scherzinger, is that how it's said? Yeah. Yeah, and just yeah, some younger some like new cast members, and yeah, we do also have like a few cameos in the film as well. Like there's Justin Bieber, Lady Gaga, and Tim Burton who like make cameo appearances as other aliens. So yeah, I just like in the second film how there was like a Michael Jackson came having a cameo as well as like Nick Cannon and some other like that as well. Even like in the first film, where like some aliens appeared, just like I said, it was like Sylvester Stallone and Danny DeVito and George Lucas were shown as aliens briefly in the first film. So yeah, I guess like they just want to throw as much Easter eggs as they can and just get any sort of a popular celebrity to cameo in these films as aliens. So yeah, I mean that is what it is, but yeah, this is like a pretty good movie, I'd say. Like I said, a much better sequel than the second film was. So yeah, personally, like if you're, yeah, I would actually kind of, I actually would recommend this film. Like, if you have like watched the first two films, and if like even like if you really were not a big fan of the second film, like I wasn't, and yeah, and if that really just kind of turned you away and you really weren't interested in seeing this film, I assure you, this film it is much better than the second one, and it is worth a watch. So, yeah, if you haven't seen it before, check it out because, yeah, it is worth a watch. Like, it is a much better sequel than the second film was, definitely. So, I would give this film probably around a solid 3 stars out of 4. I mean, yeah, it really just does tell the story much better than the second film does, and it is a lot more interesting, and it just is it just does a whole lot better at telling it than the second one does. So, yeah, okay. So, yeah, let me just get into the premise of the film. All right. So, as the film opens up, it shows that in the present day, there's like an alien criminal, known as a Boris the Animal, who's a Bogladite, right? And he's been held in a maximum security prison on the moon. And it shows that his former girlfriend and Lily Poison and is visiting him in his cell, and yeah, she like ends up like bringing some sort of cake for him, and then like she has asks one of the guards to like cut a slice for them. But then once the officer actually like stuck his finger in the cake, then it just had this like sort of spider-like kind of creature come out, and yeah, it just like shot out like some deadly spikes to the two officers, and then helped Boris escape. And then like after like there was a hole punctured in the wall somehow in the prison, then Boris ended up sacrificing Lily, and like Boris was actually missing an arm, like his left arm was gone, and then yeah, like it was revealed that Kay had something to do with it, and Boris was just now out for revenge on Kay. And, yeah, and then on Earth with the Men in Black, then like I said, it showed that like Zed was now dead, and they were like holding a eulogy for well, yeah, they were holding a service for Zed, and it showed that Agent O was now the head of the Men in Black. And then eventually um Kay then eventually like discovered that Boris had escaped and is looking for him, and eventually Boris ended up confronting Kay. Okay, and then yeah, Boris just told Kay that he is already dead, and yeah, and like Jay wanted to know like what Kay's history with Boris was, but Kay was like refusing to talk, and then back at the MIB headquarters, then Jay then like looked up some files on Boris, and then he learned that in 1969 Kay had shot off Boris's left arm and arrested him, and Kay also ended up deploying this device known as the ArcNet, which is a shield that ends up that prevented any other Boggledites from conquering Earth and caused them to go extinct. Yeah. But then eventually, like later on that night, it showed that in Kay's home, Kay just like all of a sudden just disappeared, and then yeah, it was like then revealed that Kay, hey, like history was rewritten, and Kay had been killed back in 1969, and now no longer exists in the present day. Hey, but yeah, Jay like was trying to look for Kay. Hey, like you saw that Kay wasn't in his house. And even like at the MIB headquarters, nobody even knew who Kay was, and Jay was really the only one that actually really does like didn't have any effects of like on his memory of Kay's existence. And then yeah, Agent O then like she was like trying to ask Jay how he really knew Kay, and then she like discovered that because of how Jay's been hiding, because he did have like some like recurring headaches as well as like a really big craving for chocolate milk. Well, she then like realized that there was a fracture in the space-time continuum, and Boris ended up like going back in time and killing Kay, and now that Kay's dead, the ArcNet never ended up being deployed, and now there's no protection from the Bogglite invasion on Earth. So then, yeah, Jay had to travel back in time to save Kay and stop Boris. So then, eventually, Jay ended up time traveling back to 1969, and he then went to the location where Boris like actually did commit a murder, but as Jay was about to actually just kill Boris, then the younger Kay ended up stopping Jay and arresting him. And then once he brought Jay back to MIB headquarters, Jay then eventually like revealed to Kay who he was and why he's there. And so then, yeah, Jay then like worked with younger Kay to try to stop Boris, and as they like were following some clues to go to Boris, which included like confronting some aliens at a bowling alley, and then to this location known as the factory, they eventually ended up well, yeah, the factory, of course, where was Andy Warhol's New York studio. So yeah, that's what the factory is. Yeah, and it even showed how Andy Warhol was even an alien. Yeah, which was kind of funny. Yeah. And then they eventually came across this alien Griffin who like has this power to actually like see all possible futures here's in different timelines and the outcomes, and he is also like in possession of the Arknet. And then he like sense Boris coming, and he also promised to give a K and J the Arknet the next time they met. And then later on that night, they then met up with Griffin in Shea Stadium, but Boris eventually ended up arriving and capturing Griffin, and then K and J gave chase to Boris, and they eventually were able to rescue Griffin and acquire the ArcNet. And then eventually, as the younger Boris ended up escaping, then the present day Boris ended up arriving, and the two of them then teamed up because, of course, like future Boris then could like help the younger Boris to avoid like all the stuff that happened to him, and they could destroy K. Yeah. And then they then like K and J then learned that they had to actually attach the ArcNet to the Apollo 11 in a Canaveral to deploy it in space, and then but Jay then ended up like revealing to K that Boris will end up killing him, and he tried to actually go in K's place is to stop Boris from actually destroying K, but yeah, Griffin just told Jay that K actually has to go to do it, and so then the three of them then like took some jetpacks from the MIB headquarters to fly to Camp Canaveral to deploy the ArcNet. But then after they ended up being caught by the military, Harry, then eventually like Griffin showed like the colonel of the army to read the future, and then showed like how important this task is. And so then the colonel then ended up assisting K and J to the launch site. Right, but then as they were like climbing up the launch tower, where the two Borises ended up attacking K and J, and then as the older Boris then was like fighting with J, Jay then like used the time travel device that he went back in time with to actually like counter an attack by Boris, and then he eventually ended up knocking him off of the power bridge, and then yeah, also, then as the younger Boris then was battling with K then eventually ended up shooting off Boris's left arm and then knocked him off the tower, and then yeah, the original timeline ended up then being restored, and then K then attached the ArcNet to the rocket, and yeah, it deployed in space. And then yeah, as the rocket also took off, Boris ended up being incinerated by the exhaust. Yeah. And then and as the younger Boris then was like trying to launch an attack on K, the colonel ended up shoving K out of the way and sacrificed himself to save K. Okay, but then yeah, K then and ended up like firing off that Boris and then killed him. Yeah. Yeah, and then we actually did have like a pretty heartfelt scene here. Like, this was actually really heartfelt right here. Like after this, then like the colonel's young son then ended up arriving, and was just talking to Kay about his father, and he was just telling, Kay was just telling the young boy that his father had to go off on a mission. But then, yeah, he then just ended up neuralizing the boy, and then just told him that his father was a hero. But then, as Jay was watching it, he eventually ended up realizing that the young boy is actually him. And so yeah, this was actually Jay when he was a young kid, and showed that he met Kay as a young boy, and this also showed why Jay also did still have his memories of Kay in the present day. Yeah, yeah, and yes, and then of course here it showed that Kay had apparently been watching over Jay his entire life. Yeah. Yeah. But then eventually, yeah, Jay then returned back to the present day and then was reunited with Kay. Okay, and then yeah, it showed that now the Bagladites are now all extinct, and as they were leaving, it then just showed like Griffin was also there to the side, and yeah, he then just said it was his new favorite woman in human history. He, like was talking about, unless Kay forgot to leave a tip this time, and then it showed like this like meteorite then like just coming to trying to come to Earth, but then yeah, Kay then like just went back into the diner and left the tip, and then the meteorite just ended up like hitting a satellite or something, and then yeah, it then just like ended with Griffin just saying that was a close one, and then yeah, then the movie then cut to credits. So yeah, so a pretty good film overall. Like a much better sequel, as I've said, than the second film. Like it just tells the story so much better, and it does have like some funny bits to it as well, which I really didn't actually talk about in this review. But yeah, this film does like actually have quite a few funny bits to them. So. Yeah, especially like going back to the past, like it just shows how how much different it was for MIB at the time than like it is like in the present time. So yeah, so pretty like so yeah, it does have some like good humor like that, and yeah, pretty good premise to it. Yeah, like I said, it does like have a similar premise to the second film, but yeah, it tells it like so much better than the second film did. So yeah, like I said, if you haven't seen it before, check it out because yeah, it is a pretty good film and a huge step up from the second film. Yeah, like I said, not as good, of course, as the original film, but still a pretty good film. And yeah, this is like definitely like a worthy sequel. Man, I just wish that this could have actually been like the direct follow up from the original film because yeah, this just would have worked out so much better. So yeah, but yeah, of course, like people are gonna have to watch the second film before getting to this one. And so yeah, so it kind of sucks, but still, regardless of like how much the first film, the second film really isn't that good, this one is much better. So yeah, like I said, if you haven't seen it before, check it out. All right, so I guess that's all I can really say about it. So this does it for my review of Men in Black 3. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. And apparently they actually did have another sequel planned after this, but I guess like it just ended up like being canceled for some reason. I'm not really sure why. I think it's just like I don't know if like there was just uh, something that went wrong with it. Like maybe just like they. Yeah, I'm not really sure like why they didn't, but yeah, I guess like the development just like came to a cease. So I'm not really sure if they actually are going to make another like straight sequel to this film because yeah, it's just like that Sony has been like had actually said that they were like planning to do it, but I don't know. I guess like they like ran into some difficulties with it or something. I guess because of some like direction problems or something, and just some stuff going wrong with the development. So yeah, I guess like the development has come to a cease, but I don't think it's actually been official yet that the there's like no hope for a sequel and that it's not going to happen. But yeah, so I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see if they actually are going to do another straight sequel to this. So yeah, only time will tell. But yeah, of course now they did like end up like coming out with this new film, which is now a spin-off of these films. So yeah, and like I said, my next video I will give my thoughts on that film because I am gonna go see the film tomorrow, and when I do, I will then like make a video giving my thoughts on what I thought about the movie. So yeah, so that's gonna be coming tomorrow. So stay tuned for my video on the new Men in Black film coming out tomorrow. But in the meantime, I hope you guys did enjoy this review. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.